Hello everyone, welcome to our class. My name is Ko Chen Lee. In today's sections, we will talk about DNS Server. NAM services are essential for communications for Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol, TCP/IP networking. Windows Server 2008 uses the domain name systems DNS as its primary methods of name resolution. DNS enables computers to register and resolve the DNS domain names. DNS defines the rules under which computers are named and how names are resolved to IP addresses. DNS servers act as standard primary or standard secondary name servers. You must install the DNS server service on each primary or secondary server. On the primary name servers, you configure primary zones for forward lookups and as necessary for reverse lookups. The forward lookup zone will have SOA, NS, and the records for the servers you are working with. The designates it as an authoritative name servers for the domains. You can also create reverse lookup zones to allow for IP address to host name lookups. On secondary name servers, you configure secondary zone to store copies of the records on the primary name server. And you can create secondary zones for the forward lookup zones, as well as the reverse lookup zones configured on the primary. And you can install the DNS server service by completing the following steps. First, in the server managers, select roles node in the left pane and then click Add Roles. This starts the Add Roles wizard. If the wizard displays the Before You Begin page, read the welcome message and then click Next. Second, on the Select Server Roles page, select DNS servers and then click Next twice. Third, click Installed. The wizard installs the DNS servers. From now on, the DNS server service should start automatically each time you reboot the server. If it doesn't start, you will need to start it manually. From the DNS consoles, you can start to configure a DNS server wizard and use it to help you set up a DNS server. This wizard is useful for helping you configure small networks that work with Internet Service Providers, ISPs, and large networks that use forwarding. To configure a small network using the Configure a DNS Server wizard, following these steps. First, right-click the server entries in the DNS console, select Configure Server, and then, when the wizard starts, click Next. Second, choose Create a Forward Lookup Zone, recommended for small networks, and then click Next. Third, you can now choose whether the DNS servers or your ISP maintains the zone, and then click Next. Fourth, on the zone name page, type the full DNS name for the zone. The zone name should help determine how the zone fits into the DNS domain hierarchy. Click Next. Fifth, the forwarders page allows you to configure forwarding of DNS queries. If you want internal DNS servers to forward queries that they cannot resolve to another server, type the IP address for that server. And you can optionally include the IP address for a second forwarder as well. When you click Next, the wizard will search for and retrieve the current routines. Click Finish to complete the configurations and exit the wizard. If there is a problem configuring the routines, you will need to configure the routines manually or copy them from another server. To configure a large network using a DNS server wizard, following these steps. First, right-click the server entries in the DNS console and select Configure a server. When the wizard starts, click Next. And second, choose Create Forward and Reverse Lookup Zones, recommended for large networks, and then click Next. Third, to create a forward lookup zone, accept the default options on the forward lookup zone page, and then click Next. Otherwise, click Note. On the zone name page, type the full DNS name for the zones. The zone name should help determine how the zone fits into the DNS domain hierarchy. Click Next. Fifth, the forwarder page allows you to configure forwarding of DNS queries. If you want true internal DNS servers to forward queries that they cannot resolve to another server, type the IP address of that servers. Then you can optionally include the IP address for a second forwarder as well. When you click Next, the wizard will search for and retrieve the current routines. Click Finish to complete the configuration and exit the wizard. If there is a problem configuring the routines, you will need to configure the routines manually or copy them from another server. And Windows Server 2008 supports primary, secondary, and stop zones, each of which can be created to support either forward lookups or reverse lookups. At times, you might also need to configure subdomains, forwarders, and zone transfers. To create the initial forward lookup zone or additional forward lookup zones on the servers, following these steps. In the DNS console, expand the node of the servers you want to work with. Right-click the forward lookup zones entries, and then choose the new zone. Afterwards, in the new zone wizard, click Next. Second, select the zone type and then click Next. Third, on the zone name page, type the full DNS name for the zone. The zone name should help determine how the zone fits into the DNS domain hierarchy. If you are creating a standard primary zone, you see the zone file page. This page allows you to create a new zone file or use an existing zone file. And if you are creating a secondary zone, you see the master DNS servers page. Type the IP address of the primary DNS server that is maintaining the zone, and then click Add. And click Next, and then click Finish to complete the configurations and exit the wizards. To create the initial reverse lookup zone or additional reverse lookup zones on the server, follow these steps. In the DNS console, expand the node for the servers you want to work with. And right-click the reverse lookup zones entries. And choose New Zone. Afterwards, in the New Zone wizard, click Next. Second, on the Zone Type page, you can select the zone type. The options available are same as for forward lookup zone. Click Next after making the selection. Third, specify whether you are creating an IPv4 reverse lookup zone or an IPv6 reverse lookup zone, and then click Next. If you are creating a standard secondary zone, you see the zone file page. This page allows you to create a new zone file or use an existing zone file. Click Next and then click Finish to complete the configuration and exit the wizard. And you can configure forwarding options by following these steps. First, in the DNS console, right-click the server you want to work with and select Properties. In the Properties dialog box, click Forwarder tab. Second, to allow forwarding to root name servers, when config forwarders are not available, select the Use Routines if no forwarders are available checkbox. Third, display the Edit Forwarders dialog box by clicking Edit. To forward queries that internal servers can resolve to another servers, type the IP address or DNS name for the other server, and then press Enter. Fourth, use the name of the second before forward queries timeout box to set the query timeout in seconds. By default, a DNS server will continue to attempt to contact and use the least forwarder for 3 seconds. When the timeout expires, the server moves to the next forwarders in the list and does the same. Fifth, in the Property dialog box, click the Advanced tab. Ensure that Disable Recursions checkbox is cleared and then click OK to close the Property dialog box. To configure conditional forwarding, follow these steps. First, in the DNS console, select and then right-click the conditional forwarder folders for the servers you want to work with. Select New Conditional Forwarders on the shortcut menu. Second, in the New Conditional Forwarder dialog box, enter the name of the domain to which queries should be forwarded. Third, click in the IP address list. Type the IP address of an authoritative DNS servers in the specified domains, and then click Enter. Fourth, set the name of seconds before forward queries timeout options. This value controls how long the server tries to query the forwarders if it gets no response. When the number of seconds before forward queries timeout interval passes, the server tries the next authoritative servers in the list. Repeat this procedure to configure conditional forwardings for other domains. And zone transfers are used to send read-only copies of zone information to secondary DNS servers, which can be located in the same domains or in other domains. Windows Server 2008 supports the zone transfer methods Standard zone transfers. A secondary server requests a full copy of a zone from a primary server. Incremental zone transfers. A secondary server requests only the changes that it needs to synchronize its copy of the zone information with the primary server's copy. In the DNS console, expand the nodes for the primary name servers and then expand the related forward lookup zones or reverse lookup zones folders as appropriate. Right-click the domains or subnet you want to configure, and then choose Properties. In the Properties dialog box, click the Zone Transfer tab. Click Notified in the lower right corners of the Zone Transfers tab. Select the Automatically Notify checkbox. And you have two notification options. First, servers listed on the Name Servers tab. Select servers listed on the Name Servers tab to notify only the name servers listed on the Name Servers tab. Second, the following servers. Select the following servers to specify the name servers that should be notified. When you create a zone in the Windows Server 2008, several records are created automatically. For forward lookup zone, these records include an SOA record, a NS records, and a records. For reverse lookup zone, these records include an SOA records, an NS records, and a PTR records. When you allow dynamic updates, AAAA, and PTR records for clients are automatically created for any computers using DHCP. For hosts, they don't use dynamic DNS. You can create a new host entry with A and PTR records by completing the following steps. In the DNS console, expand the nodes for the primary name servers and then expand the related forward lookup zone folders. Right-click the domain to which you want to add the records. And then choose the new host, A or AAAA. This displays the dialog box showing figures. And type the host name such as CPC A05, and then type the IP address such as 192.168.5.28. If a reverse lookup zone has been created for a domain, and you want to create a PTR records for this host, select the Create Associated Pointer PTR Records checkbox. Click Add Host. Repeat this process as necessary to add other hosts. And click Done when you are finished. If you opt not to create a PTR records when you create an A record, and you can create a PTR later as necessary. In the DNS console, expand the node for the primary name server, and then expand the related reverse lookup zone folder. And right-click the subnet to which you want to add the records, and then choose the new pointer PTR. This displays the dialog box showing figures. Type the host ID, part of the IP address, such as 192.168.5.55, and then type the host name, such as a COP server 36. Click OK. To create an alias for host name in the DNS console, expand the node for the primary name server, and then expand the related forward lookup zones folders. And right-click the domain to which you want to add the records, and then choose a new alias, cname. This displays the dialog box showing figures. And type the alias for the host name, such as www. And then type the FQDN for the host, such as copserver94.adaton.com. Then click OK. And you can create an MX records by completing the following steps. In the DNS console, expand the node for primary name servers, and then expand the related forward lookup zones folders. And right-click the domain to which you want to add the records, and then choose the new mail exchanger MX. This displays the dialog box showing figures. And consider leaving the host or child domain box blank. A blank entry specifies that the mail exchanger name is the same as the parent domain name, which is typically what is desired. And type the FQDN of the mail exchanger servers in fully qualified domain name, FQDN, or mail server box, such as exchange.adaton.com. And this is the name used to route mail for delivery. And fourth, specify the priority of the mail server relative to other mail servers in the domains. The mail server with the lowest priority is the mail server that is tried first when mail must be routed to a mail servers in the domains. And click OK. For standard zones, you can create an NS records by doing the following. First, in the DNS console, expand the node for the primary name servers, and then expand the related forward lookup zones or reverse lookup zone folders as appropriate. Second, right-click the domains of the subnet for which you want to create name servers, and then select Properties. In the Property dialog box, click the Name Server tabs as shown in figures. Third, the name servers list shows the DNS server currently configured to be authoritative for the zone and includes DNS servers that host secondary zones. If a name server isn't listed and you want to add it, click Add. This displays the new name servers record dialog box. Fourth, in the server fully qualified domain name FQDN field, type the fully qualified host name of a secondary servers for a domain, and click Resolve. If the IP address of the name server is filled in for you, click Add, and then add other IP addresses for this name server as necessary. Fifth, click OK to close the new name server records dialog box. Repeat this process to specify other name servers for the domains. To view the SOA records for a zone in the DNS console, expand the node for the primary name servers, and then expand the related forward lookup zones or reverse lookup zones folders as appropriate. And right-click the domain or subnet whose SOA records you want to view. And then select Properties. In the Properties dialog box, click the Start of Authoritative SOA. Suppose we have a website set up at 192.168.100.100. We want to map this IP to a name resolutions. We need to set up a DNS server. To do so, go to Administrative Tools, Server Manager, to add a new roles of server. So right-click, Add Roles. Just follow the instructions and create DNS server. Click Next. And once it's done, click Install to install a DNS server to your computer. When the installation is finished, check the roles of your server manager to see the installation events. The next step is to configure your DNS server. Go to Administrative Tools, select DNS, and you can use the DNS Manager to set up your server. First, you need to add a new zone to your DNS. Just follow the instructions and add your new primary zone to the server. Select primary zone, click Next. And enter the zone name. And click Next. Click Next again. And click Next. When you are done, Click Finished, and you will see a new primary zone is added to your server. Then you can start adding your new host to the server. Type in the name of the host and the mapping IP address. When you are done, click Add Host to add this host. And you can also add a new alliance for this host. Just select the new alliance, then follow instructions to add a new alliance. When you are done, click OK to finish this step. Then your DNS setting is about finished. And one last thing to do is to change your NIC setting to your DNS. Then the computer can use your DNS to resolve the name. So we can try it again. Use the alliance name. And it's okay.